Hi everyone, and I hope you're enjoying the event so far. Welcome to the session. We are lucky enough to be joined by Emm Charlton. So hi Em, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. So as a little bit of an introduction, is a training manager, and that is for Tyneside and Northumberland Mind. So this session is kind of going to go over a bit of a Q&A with them, just to sort of take it back to basics, all around kind of what mental health is, and the sort of signs and things to look out for. So it should be a really interesting session. So first of all, are you all right just to kind of go over a little bit about yourself, first of all?
Absolutely. As you said, Tyneside Northumberland Mind training manager. I actually come into mental health from a lived experience perspective, supporting other people around me with sort of issues that I've had and sort of tough times in their lives that have come along. So I get a little bit passionate about this stuff because it does very much come from the heart. So that's kind of what brought me into the mental health sector, from spending years in the commercial sector working in event operations and a little bit of time in construction. So it's just funny how kind of life, and you can finally get to do something that's your passion, which is fab.
Absolutely. It's always interesting to hear everyone's journey. Generally, people start in one completely different industry, don't they? And then they kind of end up where they are today. Oh, brilliant. And can you tell us a little bit about sort of your role and what it is that you do?
So with Tyneside Northumberland Mind, we are obviously a mental health charity, and we have different pillars to the charity. So we offer counselling services, wellbeing services, and myself in training. So we go out and we support the community. We do some commercial training just to help bring some of those funds in to support some of the projects that we do, which is fantastic and we're really grateful for. And we also partner with the Suicide Prevention Network. So we work across 6 of our lovely local authorities, from Northumberland, North Tyneside, Newcastle Gateshead, Sunderland and South Tyneside. And that's a project really focused in on doing something about mental health, all the way up to suicide prevention, to do our best to get people talking about these things and do something to reduce those numbers, because let's be honest, one suicide is one too many. So it's a good challenge to be part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like such a great sort of project that you're involved in. So to get started then with the Q&A, I just kind of wanted first of all to go over what actually is mental health.
So a great question and a brilliant place to start. The first thing we have to say is every single person has mental health, exactly the same as we all have physical health. And the two things are linked in. The World Health Organization did us a lovely definition of health, where they've said it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So that was back in 1948. They were already thinking about things about mental health. But then they've gone on to define positive mental health, and it's about everything that we do on a daily basis. Can we all achieve our own potential? Can we cope with the normal stresses that come along in day-to-day life? Can we participate in our jobs? Can we work sort of productively? And can we make a contribution to our own communities and play our own part? So not just your community around your home, but it might be your college community. It could be your sports team community. Can you sort of actively participate in that? And can you deal with those bumps in the road that inevitably come along? And they do, they come to all of us, but how we cope with those, that's really our mental health. How we get up in the morning, we get dressed, we get in the shower, we get to school. Without mental health, we wouldn't be able to do those things. So it's really, really important. It's fundamental to everything that we do.
Oh, definitely. I think it's like you say, isn't it? It's everyone. Everyone has mental health, and it's kind of every situation we deal with, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think sometimes as well, if we were talking about physical health, and you sort of maybe stick it in your search engine, you get lots of really positive pictures, and that's just from putting in physical health. If you put in mental health, you get some negative stuff, and I think that's why it's part of the reason why it makes it difficult to, a bit more challenging to talk about, because it's already telling you sort of mental health is negative, when really it isn't. We all have that, and that's kind of one of the kind of stumbling blocks we've got. We need to accept that we've all got it, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. We just have it.
Definitely. And I think a big part of that is kind of educating everyone, isn't it? Sort of the sessions like we're doing today, kind of getting the awareness out there, and making people kind of realise that it's normal, isn't it? And it's good to talk about it, and everyone goes through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody kind of escapes and gets all the way through life feeling great 100% of the time. It's just, to be honest, that would be a problem in its own right. But we all have it. It happens to all of us. And when it affects so many people, I don't understand why it's not freely spoken about.
Absolutely.
I wish it weren't the case, but unfortunately it is for the moment. But more sessions like this, and we'll start breaking those barriers down one by one.
Definitely. So with that then, how can we actually take good care of our mental health? Do you have sort of any advice, any tips that we can do to actually take care of our own mental health?
Absolutely. And a lot of these things you will already know, but sometimes we forget, or we maybe don't prioritize it as much as we should, because before you can look after anyone else in your life, sort of family members, your friends, before you can do any of that, you've got to be in a good place. So looking after you is actually really important. It's more important than we give it credit for sometimes. So we sometimes maybe feel a bit selfish doing things for ourselves, or feel like we need permission, and it's really not. It's the best thing you can do for everyone around you. So what we need to do are really the basics. We need to make sure we're sleeping well. Rest is really good, not only for the physical body, but it's really good for the brain to kind of process the day and resettle. So good sleep is great. I never used to sleep well, but I don't know, I've hit a point, I've changed jobs, and all of these things have now allowed me to sleep properly, and I am so protective of that sleep there, because I feel so much better. We have to eat well. We've all seen the adverts, we all know the messages about eating well for good physical health, but it actually impacts your brain as well. So giving yourself good nutrition is really, really superb for mental health. Exercise, again, you get given the messages about exercises, and you've got great sporting activities at the college. Join in, participate. It doesn't have to be the big stuff. Just getting out into nature, a bit of a walk, all of this is really good, and it's really good for the mind. We have a kind of a constructed world around us that maybe we move really quickly, and we do things at pace, and we've always got information coming in, and we've maybe forgotten how to relax. Really important. And some things you can do to relax would be, you could possibly do mindfulness. Now, this doesn't work for everyone. It's a skill. I'm still working on it. I'm probably one of the worst offenders, but mindfulness is great. It's just about being in the moment. So we've had our recent stay at home and our lockdown, and I found actually, if I was going to be washing my hands so many times, then I would be in the moment. And it's just about, well, the 20 seconds, 30 seconds, feel the water, feel the bubbles, wash your hands, and just be aware of things, not thinking about what you're doing next or what you're doing tomorrow, what deadlines you've got to hit. Just even something as basic as that. And if you get really good, move on, do some mindfulness classes, there are sessions online, there are so many mental health apps. The NHS have some really good ones. There was a funded piece of work called the 5 Ways to Wellbeing, and that encouraged us to do 5 things. The first thing is to connect. We need to connect with people. We do really well looking after our mental health when we connect. So instead of sending that email, speak to someone. Speak to maybe someone new. When we ask somebody and we're walking down the corridor, we don't kind of wave at them, how are you doing, and walk past each other. Actually stop. Have a conversation about how someone's weekend was and really listen to what they say. Put 5 minutes aside just to do that. Maybe sort of walk along the road with someone, offer someone to share the same journey with them. The other thing that they wanted you to do was to be active. Activity is associated with lower rates of depression, brings down anxiety across all of the age groups. So it's a really good habit to get into. It's great if you can start it when you're younger. There's associations with exercise with age-related sort of cognitive decline, maybe it's protection against some of the brain diseases that come into play later in life. It doesn't have to be anything intense. It really doesn't. Walking can have a huge benefit. We might even get social when you're out walking and sort of chatting with people. I know I got a puppy recently and I've never spoken to so many people. He is cute, but they do like to stop and say hello. But it's the little thing. Stairs, not the lift. Don't sit at your desk and plow through your day. Go for a walk at lunchtime. Take a break. That'll be really good for your work as well. You've got a break from it. One of the other things on the 5 Ways to Wellbeing is to keep learning. So great environment, great to be doing this in the Tyneside College. But continued learning through life increases your self-esteem. It's great for the social life. It makes you more active. Loads and loads of things. It can lift people out of depression, doing educational activities. Setting goals is really good for someone as well. The 4th one would be to help others or to give. So participation in social activities, things going on in your community has brought loads of attention to wellbeing. We're really starting to realise kind of how important it is. And those who have an interest in helping other people actually really rate themselves much happier in life in general. And taking notice of things is the final one. Take notice of everything that you're doing. Be aware of what's around you. It's a little bit like that mindfulness. Be in the moment. It reaffirms kind of life. And do you know what? Just savor those little nice things. We tend to let nice stuff just pass us by. No, it's just enjoy them. If someone's made you giggle, have a full belly laugh. There's nothing better for the soul. Just a good laugh is needed all round for me. But yeah, loads of things you can do to look after.
Oh, I really like those. The 5 ways of wellbeing are really good. I think there's some excellent sort of tips in there. I know, like for myself, especially over lockdown, it made you kind of realise, again, kind of taking your life back to basics, isn't it? The sort of things that you appreciate and actually having some time to just appreciate the present and what's around you. And that's not necessarily material things, is it? It's like you say, kind of even passing people when you're out on your daily walk. it felt amazing to see somebody else, didn't it, to sort of say hi. And I think things like that would definitely used to kind of not appreciate at all. You wouldn't even give it a second thought, would you, passing someone in the street? So I definitely think I've started to kind of be a little bit more mindful and try and live in the present, rather than thinking, right, what am I going to do after work? What am I having for tea? What's planned for the weekend? And you get caught up in that, don't you? And just thinking about what's next. So I think they're definitely some really good tips. And I know kind of helping other people as well, like you said, it makes yourself feel good, doesn't it, that you're sort of doing something for somebody else as well. It's kind of benefiting them. Like you say, you kind of get a bit of a spark yourself, don't you? So yeah.
You get a nice feeling, don't you, when you've helped somebody? And again, they're nothing huge, and it can be difficult when we're in the middle of a situation like lockdown to find the positives. But you really great example from yourself there, that they are there. We might just have to look a little bit harder for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that then, what might it look like? So anyone who is experiencing maybe poor mental health, whether it's sort of yourself or whether it's a friend, what might that look like?
So it can look different for everyone. We're all individual and we all cope or deal with things really differently. But some sort of guiding things that you could look for. If you normally are fortunate like me and you sleep really well, and suddenly your sleep's really disturbed, or you find it difficult to get off to sleep, or you could be the other way. You might not sleep very well and now you sleep for really long periods of time. Anything that messes about with your sleep pattern, something's going on. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a mental health illness to worry about there, but it does mean that possibly a little bit of stress. Is it maybe it's exam time? Have you got something new coming along that you're a little bit anxious for? But if things start affecting your sleep, let's maybe deal with what that root cause is. Again, the same with food. If we've got changes in eating habits, we've lost our appetite, or we've started maybe eating a little more than we would. Maybe it's having not enough energy to get you through the day, feeling really drained or really, really hyperactive. Again, they're all changes that we should be just conscious of, and maybe do some of those nice activities to rebalance ourselves, bring ourselves back. You could have kind of maybe unexplained aches and pains. We know that when, particularly where there's depression or a really high level of stress sometimes, that the body can have a physical reaction to these things. So that might be a bit of an indicator that we need to really look after ourselves in the first instance. But really sort of feeling a little bit sad, but for a long period of time, maybe it's a bit hopeless, or you get those feelings of helplessness, then let's reach out to somebody. Let's use some of those resources that are available to us. Mood swings as well can be a thing to watch out for. And sometimes, if it's anything like me, it's my friends who would spot that in me way before I would. So again, it's good to look out for other people. But any sort of ongoing and persistent, if it's something that you know and you understand, it's still time for that self-care. So if we're in exam periods, we're having issues with food, we're having issues with our sleep, we know it's going to be short term, but the benefits of actually looking after that and protecting that sleep and getting that good nutrition in will really pay dividends to get you through that period of stress. Because we need to plan, because when you're in that situation and you're already feeling a little bit uptight or stressed or anxious, that's really difficult to think about things objectively. So it's much better to plan for these things. It's a bit like a seatbelt in your car. You put it on all of the time, but you really need it in an emergency. So think about these things in the good times. So if you've got exams, you're maybe going up to university, you are moving, any of those things, let's plan for them. Think about the things that make you smile. Have them in reserve. Who are the good people around you that you can turn to in those real kind of tough moments that'll help you pick up and look at something objectively for you, maybe just give you a different viewpoint. If we've planned about these things and we've thought about them in advance, when we need them, they're there on hand without us having to think about things, because that can be a big ask of yourself to think about stuff when you're in those tough times. So yeah, those would be some of the key ones I think I would look out for.
Yeah, I think they're really good. It's kind of identifying it yourself, isn't it? Or in someone else is really important. And I think that's sometimes hard, isn't it? To even allow yourself to accept that actually something probably isn't right. Or like you're saying, preparing for if you do sort of experience it. I really like that, the seatbelt. You would always put your seatbelt on, wouldn't you? And you don't expect anything to happen. But if it does, you kind of, where you are, don't you? So... yeah. I really like that. The final question actually is what should you do if you're kind of worried? So if there's anybody listening today who's thinking, actually, I am a little bit worried, what would you sort of recommend that they do?
I'm going to say, if you're watching this, you're really fortunate because you're at Tyneside College, and I've had a look at some of the resources that you've got on hand. So you've got some really good people here. You have your counsellors at college. You have mental health ambassadors. You've got your personal progression coaches. All of these people you can turn to for guidance and support. And it's not just about academic stuff. It's not just about your course. It's about anything. They're there for you. They're concerned about you as a person. But if you want to look outside of the college environment, or you're not staying in the halls of residence, you can start with your GP. Have conversations with your GP, because they're a great source. You have the NHS website. That again, if you were worried about something, great place to start looking and try and get some of those handy hints and tips. You could turn to one of the charities. Clearly, I'd like you to come to Tyneside Northumberland Mind if you needed any help, but we would always be there. And even if it wasn't something we could help with, we might know an organisation who can. But there's so much information out there on the internet now. We've got great sites coming up. We've got Kooth that hopefully people are aware of now, KOOTH. That's got magazines, it's got discussion boards, it's got a live chat. You can even create your own journal there. So many people who I've spoken to recently have started journaling. It seems to be a great activity for people. You've got websites like Samaritans, they've got loads of information. You've got our own website if you were worried about anything. There's loads of information in there. But please definitely speak up to any of the staff, any of those mental health ambassadors that you've got in the college. If there's anything going on for you in there, even if you're just feeling a bit stressed and you feel like you want to have maybe a little bit of a rant, then do it. Please do. It's far better to say something than kind of feel you've got to battle on and struggle on and keep it to yourself, because it's really not good for you. And let's face it, you're kind of our key concern.
Definitely. Oh, thank you very much for that. That's really useful. And obviously, just to kind of reiterate your point there, kind of about the college. Obviously, any current students who are listening, any students who are thinking of coming to us in September, you are, really encouraged to reach out. And if there is anything, like you say, that you're worried about, or just something that you kind of want to get off your chest, I think, reach out to any of those people. We've got sort of student services online today. all of the curriculum staff and things are on, like, please do, you know, reach out, and we'll be more than happy to kind of point you in the right direction and see how we can help. But thank you very much, Em. That's been really helpful, and it's a really great conversation, I think, to have, just to talk about mental health and kind of what it is, and kind of spread awareness, isn't it? So that's been brilliant to speak to you today. Thank you so much for joining. And I hope everyone listening sort of found that useful.
Yes, you're all part of my family now, to spread the word, to raise awareness, and let's get talking about stuff and making things better for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We're really pleased to have you as part of today.
You're welcome. Good luck,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy the rest of today.